Рембрandт van Rijn was born in 1606 in Netherlands and died in 1669 in Amsterdam. He was a Dutch painter, draftsman, and etcher of the 17th century, a giant in the history of art. This work is inspired by the martyrdom of Saint Stephen, which is recounted in Acts 7. This young deacon in the Christian community of Jerusalem was sentenced to death by stoning. The picture represents the moment when Stephen was stoned outside the city by his many tormentors, about 20 characters, and he utters his last words to Christ as the light around him shows that the heavens are open. The story, which is a picture of the presentation of Jesus Christ in the temple illustrates, is the story of the infancy of Jesus Christ. In the picture we find ourselves that we're among the worshippers in the temple, looking at the groups on the pavement in front of us, Mary, Joseph, and Simeon, kneeling before a priest with 2 or 3 onlookers. It must not be supposed that this scene very closely represents the actual event it illustrates. The Feast of Belshazzar, the writing on the wall, is based on the Bible story of the Babylonian ruler Belshazzar. The latter was predicted his impending death and the ruin of his empire by a mysterious handwriting on a wall. The subject of Susanna and the elders is taken from the apocryphal history of Susanna. 2 Jewish elders hidden in the garden threaten Susanna that they will publicly accuse her of committing adultery with a young man unless she gives herself to them. She is eventually exonerated by the wise judge Daniel, and the elders are punished. For all the lack of movement, the narrative and psychological elements of the story are conveyed with the utmost clarity. The story of the archangel leaving the family of Tobias is recounted in the book of Tobit. Tobias was sent by his father Tobit to Media to recover some of money he had hidden there earlier. Archangel Raphael, sent by God to help Tobit and his family, asked Tobit, who didn't recognize the angel, whether he may escort his son on his journey, and in company with Tobias' faithful heart they departed together. They reached the Tigris, where Tobias was attacked by a gigantic fish. The archangel ordered him to capture it and had him remove and consume its gall, heart, and liver. The innards proved to be a medicine which he can use to restore his father's sight. Christ and the Magdalene and the tomb describes the day after the crucifixion, when Mary Magdalene found Christ's tomb empty. 2 angels spoke to her as she wept, and when she turned she saw a man she thought was a gardener. Рембрандт sticks closely to the passage in the Gospel of John, which poses the question of the rising Christ's appearance, because Mary Magdalene recognizes neither his face nor his voice. The figure of Christ eludes understanding, and the rising sun symbolizes the dawn of a new era for mankind. The subject of David and Jonathan is taken from the first book of Samuel. Following the Old Testament text, Рембрандт shows David pressing his friend to his chest. The young David cannot contain his grief, while Jonathan's more mature years enable him to keep back the tears, although his face expresses the deepest sorrow. The theme of love and suffering, which lies at the heart of the biblical story, is captured with amazing force in the painting. Probably the most famous and controversial of all the Rembrandt paintings is The Night Watch. The painting is renowned for 3 elements: its colossal size, the effective use of light and shadow, and the perception of motion in what would have traditionally been a static military portrait. The picture depicts the eponymous company moving out, made by Captain Franz Benning-Cork and his lieutenant William. The dead chicken is meant to represent a defeated adversary, and the color yellow is often associated with victory. In the picture The Holy Family, the warmth of the home is felt in the brownish gloom of the peaceful household, into which a clear golden light pierces, accompanying the hovering little angels. The red cloth which covers the cradle of the Master rings out like a declaration. The main idea of the prodigal son is the Christian idea of mercy with an extraordinary solemnity. The hair represents a symbol of our homecoming, of the darkness of human existence illuminated by tenderness of weary and sinful mankind taking refuge in the shelter of God's mercy.